What do you think about the tension between reform, privatization, and marketization in China? Is there a tension?
I think the 12 five-year plan is pretty well put together in the sense of what has to happen, but they're fairly deep reforms that are underneath it. The perception in China, I think, almost universally, is that the reform momentum has been low or declining, even as the economy produced stellar performance in the last decade. So it's that has to be reversed. And I think it's really a small number of things. One is reversing the intrusion of the government further and further into the market part of the economy, because they want an innovative economy that's driven by entrepreneurs and that kind of dynamism, and that's just inconsistent with a sort of expanding state. There's other dimensions of it, but that's the main idea. And second, when you get a big state like that and people and a fair amount of money sloshing around, you and then that I think is socially toxic, and most people realize that. And third, you get vested interests, and by far the biggest vested interest is the complex of things and institutions and people around the state-owned enterprises, and so I think that has to be adjusted as well.
What do you think about the financial sector in China in its current setup? Do you think it's servicing the needs of the Chinese people?
The financial sector is not built to sort of make capital easily available to all kinds of enterprises. If this model works, and I think it probably will, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of new businesses, service businesses in urban areas, more people coming in from the countryside. There's just going to be lots of things that need to be financed. And big banks lending to big enterprises isn't enough. So there's some financial sector development in there. And then there's an important part of the agenda that has to do with sustainability. There's a rising pattern of income inequality. Some of it's inevitable in the sense that when you get this growth pattern running and people are going from the rural sector where the productivity levels are rising but still relatively low into the modern urban economy, which is going to dominate the economy in the future, somewhere in the middle there you've got fairly big differences you've created, and that's well understood. But despite the success, China's not done particularly well at sort of mitigating those differences. So you have very, very wealthy people. You have a Gini coefficient that's, probably above 0.45, and that's, higher than the United States, but we're also pretty high and not particularly where you want to be. And then if you combine that with arbitrary behavior or corrupt behavior in local governments and differential access to education and health care, and asymmetric treatment of the people who are called migrants because of their hukou status, then you've just got a mix that's got potentially explosive in terms of social frustration and tension. And so they need to there's multiple pieces of that, but they need to address them.